Recently, I've noticed my hair has been sticking out more than usual because this blindfold keeps pushing it up and it just stays up after I take it off. So for the past 3 days, I've been at Washington Championships 2020. My main events going into the competition were 3x3 blindfolded, 6x6, and 7x7. I mostly just want to get good at blindfolded now, and 6x6 and 7x7 are just what I do when I'm taking a break from that. But the main highlight of the competition for me was getting national record again for fewest moves. So I'll go into reconstructions of the solves a little later into the video because I know a lot of you guys don't actually do fewest moves, so I'll just kind of tell you what happened. On the very first solve of the competition, 7 people, including myself, got 21 moves in fewest moves. And if you don't know how absurd that is, 21 is the fewest moves average world record. And the fact that 7 different people at a local competition found that same solution means this was a stupidly easy scramble. Here's the scramble if you want to try it yourself, but of course I'll be showing what I did for it later. So I made a video before on 24 moves, which was the national record that I tied from a while ago. I tied it with Kevin Matthews, and he was with me at this competition as well, and we both found the 21, so we're still tied for national record, and I don't know if we're going to be beating it anytime soon. So after that solve, we calculated, and since the Canadian national record was 27.33, then we would need a 30 and a 31, or just any two numbers that add up to 61, and that would tie the national record. And on the next day, the second solve, I got 29, which means I needed a 32 or better on the last solve. And on the last solve, I happened to find only like one good thing that happened to get a 25. And so somehow I now have an average of 25 moves in fewest moves. So before I get into the fewest move solutions, I'll start with a summary of the competition for me because I did a lot of events. I learned Orozco between the last competition and this one, so in multi-blind was pretty much just practice for that. And I tried 11, I only solved 9, so that was okay. Then there was 3x3, which I hadn't practiced since the last competition, but I somehow got an 8.69 average, which should have been so much better if I actually practiced because these scrambles were amazing. This was 0.01 slower than my best average in competition, so that was a little sad. 3x3 blindfolded, I did okay. I got a sub 1, which is pretty much all I wanted. I somewhat practiced 6x6 and 7x7 for this competition, and for 6x6, I got 2 solves that were 201, but another one that was 214, so that kind of ruined the average, but overall not bad. For Megaminx, I averaged about 130, but I had not practiced, and I just went into it and got 2 solves that were 2 minutes, so I just quit. After the second solve, I realized I really didn't want to be competing at the moment, so instead of just holding up the competition, I decided to go practice something that I wanted to do instead. Then in 3x3 blindfolded, I got another sub 1, which was great, and I didn't podium because a lot of good blinders were there, but overall pretty happy with my 3x3 performance considering I just learned Orozco going into this competition. Then in 3x3 second round, I got an 11.80 average that is never going to happen again. And then in 2x2 finals, this happened. That's probably the stupidest thing I've ever done in 2x2. So this solve had a 1 move face. All I had to do was see what happened after that 1 move and just solve it. But for some reason, after one looking it, I got midway through the solve and realized it was wrong, tried to do the right thing and it was still wrong, not even the correct OLL. But it's okay, I like sort of saved it on the last solve. It wasn't a good solve, but it was good enough to get a 2.64 average, which beats my 2.86 from last year. I'm pretty happy with this one because I pretty much relearn a lot of EG1 cases every competition, so this is not bad for me. So that's about it for the highlights of this competition. Now I'm going to talk about the fewest move solutions that I got for my national record. So here were my 3 FMC solutions, and this is Scramble 1. So if you know how to do fewest moves, try this one yourself because you might find the solution really quickly. So anyway, in this video, I'll be talking about scramble switching or NIS, and I have a video on that, but you don't really have to understand it to follow along with what I'm doing. So now I'll talk about what I did. So starting on the inverse scramble, there's a really quick way to make a 2x2x2. These two are like 2 crosses pieces solved. This isn't a normal way of block building, but this works, and then insert these 2 as a pair. So that makes a 2x2x2. But wait, there's more, because before you do that last insertion, you can just add a U move here, and then that actually makes a 2x2x3 in 5 moves. But wait, there's more. Add this, and you have F2L minus 1 pair. Getting to F2L minus 1 usually takes somewhere around 15 moves. This was done in 7. This is insane. So there's also this pair here. Instead of inserting it, I switch back to the normal scramble. Here's the normal scramble. I use NIS to get here, so watch that if you want to know how. But anyway, here we have the same F2L minus 1, but the pair is different. And now we can pair these up like this and insert it with Sledgehammer. So now we have a Soon with a PLL skip. So when I noticed this, first I was in disbelief, second I counted my moves and realized it was 21 and my hands were like actually shaking because I knew I just got the national record, but I also knew that my Canadian friend next to me would probably find the same solution, so we're gonna be tied for national record again. Okay, but there is something better you can do that was pointed out by other people who are better at fewest moves, and that is for this pair, you can also do it this way. Do that, and then here, Sledgehammer. and add another move there. And then so this ends up taking the same number of moves. However, this block is now touching the opposite color. So when you do the Soon here, it doesn't have AUF, and that saves 1 move for 20. I don't think there's any way I would have spotted that. Some people said they could have, but I don't know. I don't think I would have done that, so I'm pretty happy with 21. So on the second scramble, what I did was I noticed that you can solve this edge and add this to make a square. And then here I can add 1 more move, and that makes another square. So 2 squares and 4 moves, that's pretty good. Next, what I kind of have to do is solve this blue edge, which is actually right here. And if I want to move that over, then I probably want to solve this red and blue edge as well. So one thing I could do, which I'm not even sure if I tried, but I can insert this edge here, and then I think I tried this actually. So I can do L2 or I can do L, and either one moves this block out of the way, so I can try both of these. And either way, I would then solve this block and then move this one. Actually, I think I did get here, but too many edges were misoriented for the rest of it to be any good. So instead, I nist to the inverse scramble, and now it looks like this. I noticed that this pair was now matching the color, so I just inserted this pair, and then I needed to solve this block as well, and this edge is already solved. So I moved this out of the way, move this block here, and then put this back in. So this is most of F12, not great because this edge isn't there, but I decided that this was the best thing I could find. Now there is something kind of obvious I didn't do there, which I'm really sad about, but anyway, I'll just show what I continued with here. So here I counted bad edges if I'm facing blue, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I just wanted to solve these bad edges because if I just take this piece and insert it, then I get more bad edges. So I just did these 4, so that is by putting them all on the front, and then do F or F prime. So here it makes sense to do F prime in this case, or B prime because it's blue, and then that solves this edge, and then move them all back up. And then now I'm left with F12 - 1 with all my edges oriented. Then here, since 2 edges are not solved, like I can't do anything to just get 2 edges solved, then I'm gonna have to do at least 7 moves here in order to solve all the edges. So I just decided my 7 moves would be inserting this F12 pair, and it just worked out in a way that inserting it like this ended up solving all the edges and 1 corner, which is pretty lucky. So I got a 3 corner case to end, and I just did an insertion to solve this. So I won't really explain the insertion, but I managed to cancel 3 moves, and that gave 8 - 3, which is 5 moves. So 24 move skeleton and 5 moves for the insertion, and that is 29 moves as my solution. So remember, if this isn't making sense, I have a playlist on fewest moves that teaches you how this works. So at this point where I inserted this and then fixed that block to get most of F12 but missing that edge. So Kit Clement, who's really good at fewest moves, he got to this exact same point, but he did something else, and I was amazed at how I didn't find it. So basically this yellow-blue, how about just deal with it earlier and don't worry about this pair right now, because I can just save it by putting it here. And so this block would just be completely solved if I put the yellow-blue here, and I can't believe I didn't think of that. So I just move yellow-blue here and move this one with the intention of doing this to solve the block. But before doing that, add 1 more move here to solve red-green. And then that, when you do all of this, you end up with this extra one solved, and this one, of course, should be solved. And then this pair is still here, and luckily this pair ends up showing up as well. I really wish I tried that, and I feel like there's a world where I would have, so this isn't like something I wouldn't have seen. Anyway, the next best thing to do is to insert this pair with a sledgehammer, and that causes more edges to get oriented. And if you insert this pair just normally, you get 3 corners in 20 moves. So that would have been a 25 move solution. I really wish I found it, but oh well, you can't ask for too much luck. So going into the third scramble, I was kind of stressed because I knew I had to get 32 or better to get the national record mean. I usually get under 32, but if you look at my competition results, that doesn't always happen. If the scramble's unlucky enough, like it was at FMC Americas, I hated every single one of them, then I might not get 32. So yeah, I've said before, fewest moves is highly luck-based. So anyway, here's solve 3. So the first thing I did was on the inverse, and there's this pair and this pair. This pair actually works a little better because you can do 2 moves to make a square here. So after the 2 moves, I can add another 1, 2, 3 to solve that block. God knows why I didn't do that. I ended up doing something worse that ended up with something better at the end. So for some reason I thought, oh, this isn't good. I'm gonna nis and go back to the normal scramble. I didn't realize that this was sitting on top of a flipped edge. And what happens is you still have that flipped edge, and this block is going to match the red-green color here because it's sitting on top here when I switch scrambles. So I would not have even considered this if I had looked at this properly. But anyway, I went back to the normal scramble, and that's where I did the rest. So back in the normal scramble, I have this flipped edge and this one, and I thought, oh, that's unfortunate. Why didn't I see that? Anyway, I'm going to solve the cube now so I can continue. So I just flipped the edge, and so now I have a 6 move 2x2x2 instead of 5, and then I saw this pair. So I thought, this could be pretty good. So next I wanted to insert this one here along with the white-red piece, so I attached this one here, and put them in together. So before I did that, or even now, or maybe after the next step, I do want to get edges oriented because that tends to lead to better solves. So it's at this point that I was going to do that, and I realized one move, and now all my edges are oriented. And it's also created this pair which can go with this edge, which is really good. So the first thing I noticed, which is not what I ended up going with, is if you insert this cross edge here and basically just do F2L, so insert this one here, I noticed that the other one gets paired as well. So how would I insert this? This one is different from these, so I would insert it like this to get all my edges solved, and that leaves a 4-corner case. So I think this was in 22 moves, so not amazing, because I know that usually 4-corner cases, if I do 2 insertions, that will take around 10 or 11 moves to solve, which means I'm giving myself about a 50% chance of getting a 32, which was not good enough, so I kept looking for things. So coming back to here after doing edge orientation, I tried something else, and that is by moving these two closer together, and you can do that in 2 different ways. One is like this, put them like that, and then you can insert them all at once. Now this didn't end up being amazing either. As you can see, I can solve some of these and I have 2 edges left, which is parity. This block looks nice, there might be something good here, but I think I tried it for a while and just gave up on this one. Another way you can move them closer together is by doing this, and then now you can put them in together like that. And let's see, here I can solve that last edge, and here I'm left with 5 corners, also in 22 moves, so this is probably going to be equal or worse compared to the 4-corner case, but I had a lot of time left, so I figured one of them would probably give me a 32, but I wanted to keep searching. So the next thing I decided to try was a completely different start that I won't actually show you, but here are the moves that I did. It gave 19 to 2 3-corner cycles, which is probably about the same as 5 corners or 4 corners, but this is 19 moves. So obviously I would need like a 14 move solution, which is 2 moves canceled in total on 2 insertions. That was so unlikely that I felt NR was guaranteed, and all I needed to be safe was just wait till the 20-minute mark to start inserting on this, and I probably have like 10 minutes left. Because I still had 40 minutes left, I decided to keep trying for more things. And that's when I went back to the original start to see if I can finish with anything else. So again, what I'm about to do here doesn't look great until you get to the end. So this kind of was a really weird solve. I inserted this cross piece and then inserted this one like this, because you do want to try all the ways of inserting it, although this one does look worse because it doesn't pair up the last one, and the edges on top are really bad. As in, it's going to take a lot of moves to be able to solve these edges, because there's no way you can just do a U-turn and solve 2 of these at once. So if I wanted this path to work, I had to find something luckier than what I found before, and I managed to do that. So if you pair these up and then insert it, or you might notice something else you can do here, but I'll just take a look at inserting it, then you get this ZBLL, and the first 3 moves of the ZBLL are this, which I just did. The other way of thinking about it is from this point, you can just move it over to here to cancel like 7 moves into the ZBLL, and then you can insert this by pairing them up, inserting here, and then moving this back. And that solved everything. When I got this, I was in disbelief because I hadn't even counted the moves yet, but I knew it was good. And then I looked at the skeleton and realized that 2 moves canceled. So this went from being 27 moves down to 25 moves. As it turns out, I was going to try the other 3 skeletons in this order, and they would have given me 30, 30, and 33. So essentially, I got lucky again this average and saved 5 moves compared to what I had originally planned partway through that solve, which gave a mean of 25.00. And this is my PB mean, and 21 is also my PB single. Trust me, 25 is a lot better than I actually am. The 21 definitely helped out a lot in this average. So that's pretty much it for this competition. Obviously, I'm really happy with the 21 move solve, but it also feels like that was way too lucky. Although I am really happy with the mean that I got, because the 29 and 25 were still a lot better than I actually had to do, which was just like a 30 and a 31 to get national record. If that had happened, I would have really felt like the 21 carried this entire mean, but with the 29 and the 25, this mean does feel a lot better. I still remember getting a 31 solve at my first competition doing fewest moves at Northwest Champs in 2018. I was really happy with the 31 because I got really lucky, and I checked the Canadian national record and thought to myself, if I learn fewest moves, I might be able to get a record one day. So I think this about wraps up my journey in fewest moves, at least for now, because I don't think with what I currently know and with the current effort I'm putting in, I would realistically be able to beat 25. One day I think I'll learn domino reduction and try to get good again, but for now I'm focusing more on blindfolded. I know about 1/3 of the 3-style corner commutators, which sounds like I've done a lot, but I haven't done 1/3 of the work because I just learned the easiest possible 1/3 of the Alex. So I do want to focus more on blindfolded for the next while, which is what I'll be practicing more of. And if you see me at a competition getting an 11.80 3x3 average, don't be surprised.